The heavy scent of rain and dust clings to the cracked streets. Sirens wail faintly in the distance, a haunting soundtrack to the chaos left behind. Hannah Reed, a dedicated physician, stands amidst the wreckage, her heart pounding. Outside, her 16-year-old daughter, Samantha Gray, looks small and alone. How do you protect those you love when the world around you falls apart? When every second demands sacrifice, how do you choose between duty and family? After the storm, Hannah thought sending Samantha Gray to her parents' house would be safest, but they told her there was no room, leaving Samantha Gray standing outside like a ghost. 2 weeks later, panic rippled through Hannah's world as a call finally broke the chaos. She hadn't ignored it, she just hadn't heard it. The medical center was chaos. Staff on autopilot. She was running on empty, juggling lives while barely keeping her own together. "Hi, I'm Hannah, physician, Missouri," she thought to herself, adrenaline pumping. It had been a week since the storm swept through, tearing apart homes and lives. The medical center buzzed but felt stagnant, every soul pushing through exhaustion. It was only when she felt her phone vibrate that her heart dropped. It was Samantha Gray. Hannah stepped back, desperately trying to calm her racing thoughts. As she leaned against the wall, bracing herself, she picked up the phone. "Mom, I'm outside. They wouldn't let me in." Her heart sank. "What? What do you mean?" Silence wrapped around her like a shroud. They said, "There's no room. They told me to leave." In an instant, everything faded. The noise dimmed, like she was drowning. "Where are you now?" she asked, gripping the phone like it was a lifeline. "I'm standing in front of Grandma's house. I knocked, but she said, I had to go. There are already too many people inside." Samantha Gray's voice cracked, filled with vulnerability. "I didn't want to bother you. I didn't know what else to do." What was she supposed to do? All Hannah could feel was the weight of fear pressing down, knowing she had to find a way to be there for her daughter, to save her family. The struggle was real. The stakes, life and death. Hannah's determination surged. She couldn't let her daughter face this alone. In the chaos of destruction, love would guide her through. My 16-year-old daughter, the girl I sent away, hoping to shield her from the chaos, was now standing outside, alone and abandoned. Her grandparents, supposed to protect her, slammed the door in her face. They acted like they had no room, no love left to give. Panic surged through me as I reached for my phone. I need Aunt Cindy, I thought. Dialing her felt like grasping at a lifeline, the weight of dread pulling me down. "Cindy, please, can Samantha Gray stay with you for a few days?" My voice trembled. "Of course, I'm on my way." Relief washed over me, but it was short-lived. I hung up and called Samantha Gray back, giving her the address. I tried to keep my voice steady, but my heart hammered against my ribs. Then, like a storm rolling in, I had to confront the real source of my turmoil. My mom. The thought made my stomach turn. "Hello, Hannah Reed." My mother's voice felt more like ice. "What just happened? You turned Samantha Gray away. She was at your door." Silence. Then a dismissive tone. "There are too many people here already." My chest tightened. "I asked you to take her in for just a few days." "You know we can't be a charity, Hannah Reed. She's old enough to handle herself. It's not the end of the world." Those words sank like lead. "Not a charity?" I nearly yelled. That was our flesh and blood she was talking about. Behind her voice, chaos swirled. People yelling, monitors beeping. But I couldn't move. I ended the call, heart racing, but no tears fell. Just quiet rage. A switch flipped inside me. That was the last straw. I steeled myself and walked back into the ER. Samantha Gray will be safe with Aunt Cindy, I thought. But this fight wasn't just for my daughter. It was about confronting my own mother's indifference. In this moment, I would do whatever it took to protect my family. Love wouldn't just guide me, it would ignite a fire within me to take on the world. She's probably on the couch right now, wrapped in a cozy blanket, a mug of cocoa in hand. Knowing Aunt Cindy, she's also engulfed in that kind of unconditional love that feels like a warm hug, the kind you only find in Pixar movies or therapy sessions. Aunt Cindy always knows how to ease the pain. No dramatics, no lectures, just quiet moments over tea. If I could have dropped everything that night, sprinted to her side and held Samantha Gray tight, I would have. That look on my daughter's face, the quiet kind of hurt that doesn't scream or throw things but just sits there, gnawing away at you. I understand that hurt all too well. I grew up with it. But the chaos of the ER? It waits for no one. So here I am, working like a machine on autopilot, while a single, haunting thought loops through my mind. How did I let it get this far? It's easy to blame my parents for slamming the door on Samantha Gray. They live by an unwritten rule book, where the rules only become apparent once you break one. And when you do, boom, you're out, no appeals. Apparently, my daughter crossed some sacred line. Maybe she looked at them the wrong way. Maybe she had the audacity to dream of being an engineer instead of an influencer. Or worse, she refused that second cookie. But those trivial excuses aren't the real question. The real question burns deep inside me. How did I, of all people, allow my daughter to wade into the same emotional meat grinder I barely escaped? How could I hand her over to the very people who schooled me all my life on how I was never quite enough? Suddenly, the memories flood back. I was always the other child, overshadowed by Joan. The youngest, the golden girl, she arrived with a bow in her hair and a spotlight wherever she went. She was destined for holiday cards and round of polite applause. Joan was dazzled by anything shiny, rhinestone clips, frilly dresses, ballet flats in every shade of pink. At just 6 years old, she was already seeking out more creative spaces. Each of these moments, the back and forth in my mind, feels like a storm building, ready to break. My pulse quickens with every thought of Samantha Gray, alone and feeling unwelcome, and all I can think is, how can I let this happen? But in that chaos, a flame ignites inside me. I'm not just fighting for my daughter. I'm battling my own past, the shadows of my childhood, and a mother who seems oblivious to the damage she's causing. This time, my love isn't just guiding me. It's lighting a fire that will push me to protect what matters most. By the time she hit 10, Hannah Reid was watching her sister strike poses in front of the mirror, the kind that would make anyone feel second best. By 15, their mom was speeding off to fancy makeup studios, shaping Joan into the perfect darling for the camera. Meanwhile, I was that oddball who asked for a microscope for Christmas. Didn't get it, of course. Too unfeminine. Too much of a stretch for a girl. At 11, I poured my heart into a science fair project, a working model of the human hand. I crafted joints, tendons, even slides to explain it all. When Mom saw it, you'd think I dragged a dead critter into the kitchen. "It's a little graphic, Hannah," she said. "Maybe stick to painting flowers." The very next day, Joan watercolor painted a rainbow and a butterfly. That ended up on the fridge while my hand model got shoved into a box in the garage. I'm pretty sure it's still nestled under Christmas lights and forgotten gifts. I didn't get the boots, the backpack, or the winter coat that fit. Instead, Joan scored a puppy, an iPad, and a dazzling necklace featuring a glittery J. I learned to be practical while she basked in admiration. If Joan broke one of my possessions, I was careless for leaving it out. But the moment my pinky brushed her things, I was in trouble. On graduation day, Mom was too swamped for a real shopping spree. We grabbed a dress off the clearance rack. It cost $140. Joan's haul: hair, makeup, and a $300 boutique dress, complete with a full photo shoot and sparkling helium balloons. "Times are different now," Mom said. Yeah, different in Joan's favor. Mom often told me I was too serious, that brains weren't everything for a girl. A woman's purpose is family, support, balance. Only Aunt Cindy, Dad's younger sister, ever dared to disagree. "You're not weird, Hannah," she said once. "You're just smarter than they know how to handle. That's not a flaw." Cindy didn't have kids, which might be why she treated us as people rather than roles. I didn't have to hide my light with her. That's why I called her the moment my parents shut the door on Samantha Gray. I knew Aunt Cindy would open it right back, open her arms wide, and, most importantly, believe her. Hannah Reed sat at the dinner table, her mother's gaze heavy across from her. The festive decorations, tinsel and fairy lights hung like a mockery in the tense air, too bright for the dark thoughts swirling. The turkey on the table had the sharp, comforting scent of family gatherings. Yet all she could smell was the bitter tension between them. The weight of years of silent judgment bore down on her shoulders. Her heart raced as her mother's eyes bore into hers, the words Hannah had been holding back like a dam ready to break. And then, just as Hannah opened her mouth, ready to stand firm for her own family, a sudden shriek shattered the moment. What was that? Her eyes snapped toward the hallway. Samantha Gray, her daughter, hadn't been acting like herself lately. Was this it? Something had gone wrong. The storm inside Hannah's chest matched the one brewing outside. No, she couldn't lose this battle now. She was so close. But how could she walk away from her mother, knowing she'd never let it go? What was the right thing to do? Her gaze met Eric's, steady, calm, unwavering. "We're a family, and I'll protect this one," he'd always said. But was it enough? Her mother's voice broke the silence. "This isn't how I raised you." Her words stung, and just like that the room grew smaller, the distance between them insurmountable. Could anything save her from the storm brewing in both her heart and outside the window? To be continued. I remember the silence that filled the house that night. The storm hadn't hit yet, but you could feel it coming. Thick in the air, like a warning. The scent of turkey lingered, but it didn't feel warm. It felt off, like a memory you didn't ask to relive. My daughter, Samantha, sat quiet at the table, her fingers running along the edge of a gift she hadn't asked for, dog print pajamas. Because that moment, the one where the door stood firm against hope, it wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a choice. And you know what I've heard since then? Crickets. No calls, no texts, not even a half-hearted message saying, "Oops, my bad." But this time, I'm done being quiet. Not for me, for Samantha. I got home just before midnight. My eyes burned, and the buzzing in my brain felt like I'd swallowed a live wire. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and stood in the hallway. Nothing but a single thought echoed in my head. That's enough. Eric was still up, as he always is. Tea brewed, blanket at the ready, the lamp casting a soft glow in the living room. He looked at me, concern etched on his face but no pressure to explain. He walked up and wrapped his arms around me, letting me breathe into his chest. "They wouldn't let her in," I muttered. "I know," he replied gently. "I talked to Samantha. She said she's fine, but it's not fine." I slumped on the couch, peeled off my socks, and opened my laptop. No grand gestures, just straight to the bank app. Eric settled beside me. "You sure?" he asked softly. "I'm done," I said, my voice steady. "I've been paying for love I never got. That ends now." First up, those little monthly handouts to my parents. Quietly, without asking for thanks? Not anymore. Gone, one by one. Then, the mortgage. That house? The one where my daughter was turned away like a stray cat? The family home? Nope, not anymore. Next on the list? College tuition for Joan's oldest daughter. I barely know her, yet I've been covering expenses just because Joan's struggling. But no more. "You make good money, Hannah Reed," I reminded myself. "Yes, I do. And I won't fund other people's laziness under the guise of family values anymore." Cancelled. Health insurance was next. I'd added my parents to my plan. A discounted rate, loads of paperwork, Countless emails to HR fighting to justify why it mattered. The irony stung like 1,000 bees. I'd done it for family, but where had that gotten me? As I clicked cancel on each line, a weight lifted. I felt lighter, yet heavier. Could family truly turn their backs like this? How had love morphed into a ledger, draining my spirit? I paused to listen to the rustle of leaves outside, the distant rumble of thunder reminding me. The storm was coming, and I had to prepare. But how? With rejection tightening its grip and my daughter's voice always echoing in my heart, I knew one thing for sure. I'd fight tooth and nail for Samantha. We could weather this storm together, no matter how fierce. After all, what else was more important than family? To be continued. The room felt heavy with the scent of stale coffee, the clock ticking louder than usual. Hannah Reid's fingers brushed the worn-out edges of a photograph, the memory flooding back. The warmth of her mother's hand, the weight of promises whispered in the quiet of a tired kitchen. "You'll take care of this, won't you?" her mother had said, eyes full of expectation. The taste of guilt lingered in Hannah's mouth, but there was no turning back now. Years of giving, money, time, love, poured into a system of endless requests. Joan, always struggling. But where did it end? Hannah had paid for repairs, vacations, even school tuition. No one ever said thank you, and no one ever paid her back. The weight of this silent betrayal sat on her chest like a stone. Then, Samantha Gray. Her daughter, rejected by the very people Hannah had supported. That sting cut deep. The morning after Samantha Gray was turned away, Hannah had made a choice. No more. No more paying for a family who never cared. She clicked through the list, canceled insurance, stopped the handouts. No anger, no revenge. Just a clean slate. Samantha Gray came home 3 days later. She walked in, bracing herself, her eyes wide with fear. "Mom, are you mad at me?" she asked, her voice fragile. Not, "How are you?" Not, "What happened?" Just, "Are you mad?" It broke Hannah's heart. The weight of years of rejection, of false promises, was pressing down on them both. But Hannah wasn't going to let her daughter carry that burden alone. She'd fight for Samantha Gray. They'd weather this storm together, no matter how fierce. Family wasn't just about giving, it was about protecting, fighting for what mattered. And no one was going to stand between them. To be continued. I held Samantha Gray tight, her fragility echoing in my heart like a haunting lullaby. The air was thick with unspoken words, the weight of our shared silence pushing down like the heavy scent of rain on earth. "Mom, are you mad at me?" Her voice trembled, fragile and small. Those words cut deeper than any storm we'd faced together. Every rejection, every struggle, crashing over us like a tidal wave. "Samantha Gray," I whispered, "you did nothing. The blame is on them, not you. I thought they could be better." My voice caught, the thread of my resolve thick with guilt. She looked up, her eyes reflecting a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she believed I was done with the cycle of pain that had held us captive for far too long. "Did you talk to them?" she asked, and I felt the tension rise between us, suffocating yet electric. "There's nothing left to say," I declared, shutting the door on our past. "We owe them nothing. No money, no support. Not anymore." The weight of my choice hung in the air, heavy with the scent of fresh beginnings. "Especially Grandma," I added, my voice steady. "If she can turn her back on you, she's cut herself off from this family. We don't live in that circus anymore." Her nod felt like a release, like the first ray of sunlight after the storm. "I didn't think they'd actually do it," Samantha Gray whispered. I pulled her close, wrapping her in the warmth of a promise. "You'll never stand outside anyone's door again, okay? If there's no place for you, we'll create one. Together." "Got it," she responded softly. We curled up on the couch, a sense of peace settling around us as we watched a goofy old comedy. 2 weeks passed, and for the first time in ages, we rested, together. But as the days turned, the familiar storm clouds gathered. Texts flooded in, voices demanding answers. Mom, Dad, Joan, did you forget to send it? How are we supposed to pay the mortgage? Family means forgiveness, Hannah Reid. The echoes of their pleas chased me, a relentless reminder of the ties I was severing. Each call felt like a shadow creeping back into our lives, threatening to pull Samantha Gray back into their chaos. What would I do now? How could I protect her heart from their demands? Every moment felt like a fragile balance, and I had to figure it out, before it was too late. Would we find our footing and build a future, or would the past drag us back into the storm? To be continued. I sat on the porch, cradling a coffee as the sun peered over the horizon. 3 days had passed in silence. Then I hit record. My voice steady, I said, "You didn't let my daughter in. No warning, no regret. She stood at your door, and you chose to leave her outside. You knew we were struck by a storm, each dark cloud. Yet you decided to turn her away." The weight of my words hung in the still morning air, thick as the scent of rain-soaked earth. I paid for everything. The lights, the roof over your heads. In return, I became nothing more than your walking ATM. I took a deep breath, feelings bubbling beneath the surface, but I pressed on. "Well, that's over. I owe you nothing. Go ahead. Now you can feel what it's like to need someone and have that door shut in your face." With a decisive touch, I hit send. Then silence. My phone slipped into Do Not Disturb. And oddly, guilt didn't creep in. No remorse for smashing their expectations. No second-guessing my need for protection. Instead, clarity washed over me like a cleansing rain after the storm. This was not revenge, it was a liberation, a cancellation of love I'd never truly received. The moment I pulled my daughter from the fire, I relinquished my role as just a mom. I became a free woman. About a month later, the miracles began to unfold. Real letters started arriving, and they screamed desperation. Then came the texts, the calls, those dramatic voicemails dripping with guilt trips and passion, all full of pauses, imploring. They had gotten the news. Dad received a letter about a missed mortgage payment. Apparently, the house that locked my daughter out didn't just take care of itself. Who would have guessed? Joan's daughter faced a similar fate. "Your payment is no longer active. Please contact the billing office." Ouch. And the topper. A call from the clinic. "Ma'am, your mother's appointment has been canceled." As I settled into my new reality, a storm brewed in the distance, thunder rumbling ominously. I felt the deep, raw ache of betrayal constrict my throat. But beneath that turmoil, a flicker of resolve ignited. What if my decision to protect Samantha Gray was exactly what she needed? Could I muster the strength to face the fallout? As the wind howled, whispering secrets from the past, I glanced out at the empty porch where laughter used to echo. Every choice seemed to split the heavens above. All it took was one more moment, one more decision. What would happen next? To be continued. The calls didn't stop. They got louder, messier. "Have a heart. You're a physician. You owe us." The guilt came in waves. First the voicemails, then the texts, then silence. But silence wasn't peace. It was the calm before something worse. A few days later, it hit me. Public shame, Missouri style. Mom's old church friend, Marjorie, the local reporter, decided to write a story. Not the kind you chuckle at on a sleepy Sunday morning. No, this one had headlines. "When Children Forget, a Couple Left Behind." She painted them like saints. Tear-streaked nostalgia. Porch. After the article's release, new documents were submitted. Some facts were incomplete. We apologize for the misunderstanding. But it didn't end there. Extended family. The Olympics of judgment. They had already gotten the article with comments like, "Look what Hannah Reid turned into. How could she abandon her own parents? All for what? Career, money." I waited for the right moment. Then I forwarded the correction to every name in that group chat. Attached screenshot of the retraction summary of all payments and just one sentence. Here's what really happened. I got tired of being useful only when I kept quiet. Silence until one morning. A new post in the family chat from Aunt Cindy. A photo of cruise tickets. Mediterranean, Italy, France, Greece, and a card from me. Thank you for being the one adult who once told me you're good, even if your mother doesn't think so. Cindy wrote, "The storm rages outside, but inside, there's a quiet intensity." Hannah Reed holds Samantha close, their tears blending with the rain tapping against the window. The room flickers with dim light, yet it's full of warmth. With a trembling voice, Hannah Reed whispers an apology, and Samantha, still vulnerable but strong, responds with her own promise to stay by her side. This moment, raw and real, is where their bond deepens. In the quiet crackle of the fire and the scent of damp earth, they make a vow to rebuild together. The world may be storming around them, but here, in this space, they are ready for whatever comes next. Hannah Reed's voice breaks, yet is fierce with resolve. "We'll rebuild." Samantha nods, her strength growing in the promise of unwavering love and resilience. Does the storm outside really matter when they have each other? Can anything break a bond this strong? The world may never understand, but Hannah Reed and Samantha will face it side by side.